So again, we need to just make it out of this encounter in one piece. Excuse me, friends, if you could all chill for a bit. I have some experimentation to do, some science, as it were. Okay, so that wizardry is actually doing basically nothing for me at this stage, so that's perfect. We can immediately swap that for the willpower, bring that back. And not too shabby, all things considered. Still nowhere near being able to swap back into like the chainmail, I don't think. In fact, I don't know if we ever will be able to do such a thing, but at least we're still at 26 AC. I mean, you know, thankfully our gargoyle genes are looking out for us in that regard. Stop that. And don't have enough magic to shatter again. Whoopsie daisies. Let's be a little more intelligent about this, shall we? Holy moly. Way closer than it ever should have been. What's Vehumet giving us at this stage? The biggest thing, now that we've gotten kind of our selection of destructive spells from Vehumet, is returning magic on kill. So it gives us a little bit of sustainability that we otherwise would largely struggle with. You know, we only have 37 magic. It's not a huge pool, but fortunately in a huge group, like we could even potentially do something like try and risk Vaults 5, just because infinite shatters are totally a reality when you're worshipping Vehumet and you have enough enemies at your, I was going to say disposal, but I guess at your mercy really is the best way to put it. So yeah, it's largely returning magic on cast, allows us to be a little more generous with our application of blasting casting here. Okay, we have to kill you right away. Fortunately, we do manage to do so, because that definitely could have gone terribly. So that's fantastic. And you as well, my friend. We need to kill right away. Ooh. And a Staff of Earth with resist poison on it. I got excited. I saw an artifact staff, the second that we've ever seen in the new update. Unfortunately, it's garbage. Such is life. Not the end of the world, though. And we'll just have to leave that bad boy for the time being here. It is very much in the right theme. That's the kind of fun part, is that it's so close. It's an earth staff, which is probably more than I should really ask for. Unfortunately, though, resist poison, not useful in the slightest here for us today. But there we go. We finish off Vaults 4. Not too shabby here after all. I think we will just head into depths to see how things are feeling, how things are looking. As for our third rune, I don't know if I'm feeling up to Vaults 5. This is the type of character that would do fairly well with Vaults 5. Specifically, you know, just having blasting casting with AoE is the biggest boon for us in that regard, but still ever so slightly terrifying to contend with. I think I will hit my Spellforge Servitor, especially since this will annihilate most of the rest of you, no problem. So I just continue to make waves here. Let's get the heck out of dodge so we're not taking too many of those stones right to the face. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. One turn, not looking great. Oh, I need to get rid of that fire vulnerability sooner rather than later, I feel. I only have one blink scroll. These buddies I don't think can be feared, but at least the Etten can be. Jeez Louise. You know what? I think I'm just gonna have to use the blinking scroll. I hate it because, unfortunately, a lot of unexplored territory here, and we don't know how it's gonna go. And in fact, we immediately see that it's not gonna go well, as we get smote beyond belief here. Jeez Louise. Okay, we at least heal up a decent amount. Maybe I just start shattering the wheel here is our best bet. I feel Holy moly. Man, I sure can tap through a lot as an unarmed troll in the beginning anyways. Isn't it lovely? First few floors of the dungeon as a troll are just truly a wondrous thing to behold. But okie dokes. Oof, where do I go from here? Maybe just some fighting. Try to make up for our otherwise lackluster HP pool. Ouch. Man, why is everything fire themed the moment I am not equipped to deal with such things? And these buddies are pretty dang fast too, unfortunately. So, in fact, what's your range? Okay, I'm still in range. Oh, you smite too. I kind of forgot that Balrogs also smite. That's fun. That's cool and nifty and very sweet. Okay, Floating Eye is dead. I think I just have to keep crossing my fingers, hoping against hope that our shatters murder everything. Holy moly. Let's get rid of this fire vulnerability. I think we may be through the worst of it. You know, Vehumet willing, but I'm not loving this. So let's just see what happens. Lost the ability to read scrolls and then lost that losing of our abilities, so that's okay, I guess. Body sometimes deteriorates, get additional strength. Fine. I'm okay with that. That is all manageable. It's largely a lack of fire resistance that's going to be a problem through the majority of this game. I feel like between fire and cold resistance, fire is the one that I always would very much prefer to have available because it is much more prevalent, or so it seems to be much more prevalent in the enemies that we come across. So that is wonderful. I guess we could try like a fire dragon scales, or dragon scales in general, I guess. Maybe. See where our current casting rates land with this kind of change. So yeah, we're at 4s on our lesser known spells. If I change up to you, 13, 11. I mean, it's not great, but it's not horrible. At least gives us some of the resistances we're missing. Unfortunately, this with a Ring of Ice is not a good proposition. Ring of Ice would at least get rid of our cold vulnerability. Give us 1 less fire resistance. I mean, it's better than our current setup for sure. That's slightly more ideal, but still not great. Like, I'm better off just not wearing the fire dragon scales, I feel. Even with the better AC. Man, oh man. I guess I'd be slightly better off if I instead went up for the ice dragon scales. We have +1 ice dragon scales we got from the caverns. It's still not great though. I don't love it. I think no matter what, I'm just in a bit of a rough spot. Even just seeing the 1 sun demon, I'm already ecstatic about our decision to get rid of the fire vulnerability. And you know, as we continue to see monsters approach us here, I'm just more and more vindicated by our decision making there. So that is fantastic. I feel like vindication as to my decision making is not the norm by any stretch of the imagination, so very much will gladly take advantage of any such thing. And you know what? I probably, for the moment here, just don't care to deal with you kiddos. Not too much of a threat, necessarily, now that we don't have that fire weakness, but still not super necessary, and we can just ignore them for the moment here, for the time being. And definitely can use Irradiate here, even at the risk of hitting our own friend, just because it will make short work of all of our wasp buddies there. And not too shabby. Tengu Reavers, always slightly concerning just because they have such a wide array of elemental types and abilities to throw our direction, but fortunately, not too much of an issue. Can we stop walking that direction just for convenience, please and thank you? Ooh, +9 chainmail. Even better chainmail. Oh me oh my. I mean, I will buy this Helmet of Intelligence. I think that that is very much just a step 1 maneuver. Let's see, if I switch to chainmail, 16% failure on shatter, 17% on Spellforge Servitor. Those aren't horrible. That all is actually fairly manageable, which means I think I will, not necessarily immediately, but I'll buy this chainmail. Because it's fire resistance, which is lovely, and a +9 is just wild. So, if I want to make that a reality in the future, I'll need more earth magic. In fact, you know, let's just max that bad boy out. And maybe more summoning is the easiest way to go here. I guess could do that and conjurations. But yeah, you know, let's spread ourselves thin, like butter over too much bread, and just see what happens. Fantastic. And should be able to deal with just you, my stone friend. Perfect. Oh my gosh, double blink scrolls. Immediately pick those up. Try to shore up the weaknesses that we've exposed in ourselves. Holy moly. And that gives me some hope in this cold dark world we live in, of course. I say just in time for Louise to show up. 10% chance of banishment is not grand, but we should be able to kill you pretty quick at least, so that's nice. And thank you, Spellforge Servitor, for all of your hard work and ethic. Good old work ethic on that son of a gun. Scroll of Fog I probably will buy. That could save my life at some point in the future. And not too shabby. You know, I was expecting our holy weapon to do a bit more work there, so I was tab fighting through the first half of that, and that was not the right decision. There we go. Fortunately, these sons of guns cannot stay invisible for too long in our lovely little aura, so that is fantastic. And not too shabby, all things considered. Looking like we'll be able to make it through the rest of this floor without too much of a existential terror. But no promises, of course. We'll see how the remaining last little bit of the level goes before making any bold promises as to such. And that should just about do it. Lots of Gold Dragon Simulacrums so far on this run. It's been like one of the more common enemy types throughout the entirety of our journey so far, which is kind of weird. Oh, a Kite Shield. Right, we never did... We've been talking so much about our Orb of Light this run, but it never really internalized or like computed in my brain that we're not using a normal shield. I might just buy the shield and the ringmail to see what we're dealing with. Ringmail does give additional magic points. Huh. And everything is probably pretty castable using that. Speaking of castable using that, if I swap into our chainmail and then swap my fire resistance ring for wizardry, everything is fully castable. Let's do that. 47 AC, better resistances. Lose a bit of spell power, but I'm totally okay with that, actually. I think that's, in fact, kind of lovely. +2 Kite Shield. We'll carry you around. I think I'm a bit more focused on our training for the time being here. If we hit all of those current caps, then we'll probably switch over. I would like to take out the Shadow Genie. There we go. Make sure that we don't get any summoning. And I guess, sorry, Shadow Demon, I believe is your title, my friend. I apologize. And a Spriggan Defonder, hey? Well, my friend doesn't so far look like there's also an enchantress hanging out. Though we'll see. I'm still, you know, I will not hold my breath on such things. You never know how it's all going to go down. What is this? Shadow Dragon Scales of Vehumet. Huh. I don't know if I've ever seen artifact Shadow Dragon Scales. This is not an unrand art, right? I think this is a rand art? Plus 8 Shadow Dragon Scales. That's wild. Again, I love the sprite for that. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's gorgeous. Huh. How about that? Could be even more AC for sure. Just a smidge up there. Unfortunately, I don't really give a dang about the stealth, but it would be cool. Here's what we'll do. I don't think we can give up the fire resistance that our chainmail gives us, but oh my gosh, look at that tile. Don't I look like the most badass DCSS character you've ever witnessed? Holy crap. Yeah, that's right though, indeed. Do I dare? Everything's still castable. I'm cool as heck. I don't know if I can refuse the call to arms here. We'll wear for a little bit. Have to ditch the light orb though. It's definitely a bit contradictory to our theme otherwise. Oh, and for the stealth stuff, I see what you're saying. Fair enough. I mean, I would like to switch the shield sooner rather than later. I guess we could even just start training shields now. Since I already kind of have this like all-encompassing train everything at once strategy going on. That's not too outside the current realm here. Otherwise, let's just get back on the road, shall we? Can at least wear the arm for a little bit. Revel in the glory and honor here. I should have swapped into my fire resistance ring as soon as we came across that son of a gun, but here we are. I'm doing science, and I am still alive. Oops, did not mean a stone arrow, but regardless, you are very, very dead. I should even probably be using Vehumet's Crystal Spear a little bit more. In fact, maybe I swap G and B, so it's a little bit easier for us to use in the future. 51 AC is pretty competent though, as long as it's enemies that give a dang about AC, right? Because you are right, as long as we are facing off against physical damage enemies, we are going to be just slapping the ever-living crap out of them. Let's head upstairs. Even though we lose our summon, they also lose their summons, and a bit of Irradiate goes a long way against the Sprague Berserker, so that's fantastic. And let's just keep on keeping on. Quicksilver Dragon is terrifying, for sure. Holy moly. Yeah, you know, it's not looking like we're going to be able to finish this run this evening, if I'm being completely and totally honest, unfortunately. But I can still see how much progress we can make. I mean, I'm still very happy to get our badass outfit together and whatnot. It's been one hell of a adventure so far. We can see if we can get a little bit more ground under our belt. All it will really mean is that next time we come around, we'll probably need to just quickly, hopefully quickly finish off this run successfully before jumping into whatever is in store for us next, which I've not given nearly enough thought to. In the most classic of issues and examples, I've once again not prepared at all for not even just next week specifically, but what I'm gonna do if this run suddenly ended up going horribly wrong. I don't have a plan. I think that's very much a fair assessment to make of myself. Hello, my friends. Holy moly, quite the crew we've gathered. We'll irradiate it a couple times, largely just to deal with our Spriggan buddy there. And you know what, we're already kind of under the gun here. Holy moly, let's swap over to some fire resistance immediately. How much damage do you do? 48 plus your flame weapon. Don't like that. We'll drink a health potion that's probably a little bit of a waste, for being honest. Probably should have just risked it slightly there in order to, you know, save our resources for the future emergency that is just going to be so much worse. Oh, speaking of so much worse, a mighted and hasted iron troll. You know what, let's just start shattering not just the dungeon, but their expectations and see how that goes, shall we? Holy moly. Even with 51 AC, still finding ourselves in a bit of a rough bind here. If I can get surrounded by all of you and not my servitor friend, then we can kind of just abuse the ever-living crap out of that, if at all possible. That's fantastic. And it's at least looking like we'll finish off Depths 3 here, unless something horrific happens in the next few moments, which I am cautiously optimistic will not be the case. Oh, I spoke too early. Okay, we have our teleport coming in at least, so that's nice. Is it going to actually take me to safety and not just steps away from our current group of pals and friends here? Not so confident in that regard. So Divine Tome coming in with the smites. Rest of you aren't terrible. Lightning bolts, I mean, could hurt in a grouping like that for sure. I probably should blink. Blink and teleport combined should get me out of this. Let's play it safe. As per usual, I would hate to die in embarrassing fashion when we're oh so close to glory here. Holy moly, how quickly the turns table. There we go. Okay, this is slightly more my speed, even with our servitor being taken out. By our powers combined, we're able to take care of our caustic friend, so that's fantastic. And once more we'll rest up. Might have to switch back into our chainmail despite the current kind of badass motif that we're aiming for. But just for the additional resistances, it might be a little bit of a necessity if we're being, you know, honest with ourselves, completely and totally honest with ourselves. But we'll see. We still have a few moments of exploratory action to go on here. You know, you're actually going to deal way more damage than I would otherwise like. We can at least do that right away. You know what? Nice Blast probably kills you now that I think about it. Fantastic. And if I could just hide once again in my little corner here until we feel safe enough to venture once more into the realm of chaos here. Fantastic. Ring of Intelligence will probably leave behind for the moment. And, geez Louise, not the time you want to fail your summoning. Let's try that again. Spellforge Servitor, if you could work your magic, please and thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Again, it kind of reminds me that I haven't been using Lahudib's Crystal Spear myself, but I probably should. kind of forget that we also have it castable. I'm used to it just being a like faculty of my Spellforge servitor, but we can lay out some pretty wild damage overall with our powers combined here. So something to keep in mind for the future. What little bit is left in our evening here, and hopefully can remember it for the start of next week when we're continuing on with good old Greg. Any other big spells I'm going for? I don't think so. I think I'm pretty happy as is. I mean, I could bring, you know, Ignition into the mix potentially, but this is enough for sure to get through the rest of the game, you know, providing I play borderline intelligently, which, as I always like to ensure we're all well aware of as a group, is probably not going to happen, but regardless should be enough to make it through in one piece. Not too bad here. Okie dokie. Do I continue any more this evening, or is this a good time to call it? If anything, I guess we could do one more floor of depths and then maybe just leave ourselves with third rune and Zot to go at the onset of next week's stream. I think that sounds fairly reasonable to me, so let's try it out, shall we? We'll try and do one more floor for honor and glory. It will at least be a good indication. Either we'll make it through in one piece or we'll again die in embarrassing fashion, and either way we'll have a nice end to the stream here. And in fact, I think this is probably a good time for me to get the heck out of Dodge there. Let's head to a different stairwell that's hopefully slightly less overrun with monstrosity. I mean, to be fair, we did cause a literal earthquake to happen, so, you know, in terms of who's causing the problems here and who's making the noise, guilty as charged. Oh, hello, Frederick. My svelte friend. Oh gosh, I don't like dealing with the Zot entrance as well as Fred. Maybe I'd kill you fast enough for it to not be too much of a concern, though. Does seem to be the case. And then I can just let Spellforge Servitor do most of the heavy lifting in regards to spell casting. Okay, if we take a bad hit, it would have been bad, but fortunately was never an option, so that is fantastic. We can bring our invisible lich friend into the aura of light that surrounds us. That's fantastic. That's not fantastic. Holy moly. Okay, 5 is at least your range, so we can just kind of skirt by in life, so that's good. Spellforge Servitor, please, if you could there we go. Add a champ. Way to go, bud. Absolutely killing it out there, my friend. And I keep hitting tab instead of spells, which is probably not ideal, but it is kind of working out for us so far, so I'm not going to complain too much. Regardless. And for Frostbound Tome, let's definitely just blast you to Kingdom Come with a couple of Crystal Spheres. Fantastic. This seems like a time for Shatter. Fantastic as well. Not too shabby. Battle Axe of Distortion on this son of a gun, so let's definitely try to just annihilate you as soon as possible. I will need some cold resistance at some point. I think if I'm learning anything from our endeavors here, it is that I will need some kind of recourse for the future if I'm at all hoping to not die a terrible death, which large rocks to the face would definitely fall under, so let's try not to fall victim to that if at all possible. There we go, Spellforge Servitor back up, and they're able to finish off the riffraff here for us. Magic Regeneration Amulet is probably not too much of a concern for me. And we need to take out the ice dragon as soon as possible. Beautiful. Do you want Spellforge Servitor? You got this, bud. I believe in you. Fantastic work once again, my friend. Protection from fire. Can probably leave by the wayside for the moment. And that should hopefully be the rest of this floor. I would like to not come across any more terrifying existential threats throughout the last tiny remainder of this zone, so that's fantastic. And is this a good place to end off? I mean, intellectually it definitely is. I probably should sign off for the night and start getting myself ready to wind down. It's bad that my brain is tempted to push through, like trying to weigh out exactly how long it'll take to get our third rune and go through Orb of Zot. It's probably too long. So unfortunately, I think this is where we're gonna have to call it for the evening here. As much as I would like to continue on. But hey, overall can't complain. There was a couple of moments there that we had no right of surviving through, but hopefully we can take that second chance at life and go running with it into next week as we potentially finish off with Greg here, marking Vehumet off of our list, which would be fantastic for sure. So that's the plan, but we'll have to see how it all plays out, of course. As to what we'll play next, I think that's an interesting question as well. I mean, as always, let me know what you're most gunning to see out there, all you lovely folks, and what you might want to see coming up next in the few runs after this, but who's to say? So of course, to finish off, we'll do a quick check to see who is live and who we can send a raid off to. Hopefully Wizards, if Wizards around, hopefully their internet is doing a little bit better than last week, and we can send some love that way more officially this time around, but we'll see in just a moment here who is around. Oh, you know they're not, so I don't know if internet's doing better. Hope you're doing well, Wizard. Love you to death. But Airbuns is playing some Castlevania here, so I think we'll head off that direction. Definitely stick around and say hello. Airy is always such a good time. Always such a fun stream to hang out in, so stick around, say hello. Of course, I'd be remiss to say, or to not say, my usual thank you to all of you lovely individuals, of course, joining us along on this journey. You know, if you're chatting alongside us here, listening to my mic smacks, lurking in the background, or hey, if you're watching this down the road through VODs or YouTube, then thank you to each and every one of you. Always appreciate getting to do this once a week and having a fun time hanging out together. And today, making some progress as well. Not doing anything too stupid. Just, you know, tiptoeing that threshold of stupid enough to be sketchy, but not stupid enough to lose for Greg here. So that's fantastic. So thank you to each and every one of you. We'll get this raid started off here. And yeah, I guess that's it for now. We'll happily jump back in, hopefully getting a win early on with Greg next week, and then we'll have to see what the future has in store, who we want to worship next. Maybe go back to a ranged character. It's been a while since we played one. Maybe a melee character. I haven't really tried out Okawaru for a couple updates here. I've never used dual a single time, so with no guarantees and no promises whatsoever, maybe, just maybe, that's on the menu for next week. We'll have to see how it all comes down. Thank you again for joining us, of course, and regardless of my incessant rambling, I do, of course, hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you out there, and I definitely hope to see you again soon next week when we jump right back into it. Just remember, folks, that we never, even for a moment, didn't have it. I'll see you soon.